Good morning, sixth grade boys and girls. I hope you've had a great week, and we are going to talk about dot plots and histograms today. The objective today is students are going to create a dot plot of a given data set. We're going to summarize a given data set using equal length intervals and construct a frequency table. Based on a frequency table, we will then describe the distribution. What is a dot plot? A dot plot shows each data point. A data point on a dot plot is called a case. That's the technical term for it. It's the circle that you make or the dot you make for each number, the case, for an attribute along the number line on one axis. And we usually use the x-axis for a dot plot. To investigate the number or frequency of cases for each value. So what this means is we are trying to find out how many of each thing you have. Here's an example problem for a dot plot. Robert is a sixth grade student at Roosevelt Middle School. He usually goes to bed around 10 p.m. and gets up around 6 a.m. to get ready for school. That means he gets about 8 hours of sleep per school night. He decided to investigate the statistical question, which remember we talked about last week, statistical questions. How many hours per night do sixth graders usually sleep when they have school the next day? Robert took a survey of 29 sixth graders and collected the following data to answer the question. Now, if you look, it's showing that some get 7 hours, some get 10 hours, some get 11 hours. Wish I got 11 hours of sleep a night. And then some got 8. So it ranges. The smallest number is 5 and the largest number is 12. So we know that our frequency table is going to have the numbers 5 through 12, and then our dot plot will also have to have the numbers 5 through 12. The first step is to construct a frequency table. Frequency means how often something comes up. A frequency table is an organized count of items or values. In its simplistic form, a frequency table shows how frequently each particular value occurs in the data set, finding out the least, the middle, the most. Okay, this is the same data from our word problem that we just saw. So it might be a good idea, I did not do it here, but it would be easier if you listed them in order from smallest to largest, then you know exactly how many marks to put. But we can just count them and look at them here. I've done the first one here. We have 5 hours. We're making tally marks. One student had 5 hours, therefore the frequency of it is 1. So we're going to take this table and we're going to make our frequency table. I'm going to have to go over to the computer, but we can stay on here. So let's look at 5. We already know there was 1 5, which comes up 1 time. Now let's take a look at 6. We have 1 6. So we're going to put 1 6 and put the number 1. Whoops, not exclamation, 1. Now let's take a look at 7. We have 1 2 3, 3 7s. So we're going to put 3 tally marks and we're going to write the number 3. And now we're at 4. And look, there's no 4s. So you do still need to put a 0 in this spot. I'm sorry, that was 8. I don't know where I got 4 from. But if there was not one of 1, then you would put that. So let's look at 8s. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now let's look at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lots of nines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we have 9 of them. Now let's take a look at 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to put a 4 here. The number 11, 1, 2. And then the number 12. And there is only one 12. So now we have made our frequency table. This is showing us all of our data on a table, frequency table. We can easily look. You could also find out how, it told us in the word problem, but if it didn't tell us in the word problem how many students there were, you could add up all these numbers. And you do, when you make a frequency table, if they give you the amount of students in the problem, you would want to go back and add all of those numbers to make sure you didn't miss one. Okay, so now that we have our frequency table, we can make our dot plot. We will see how to use our data from the frequency table to construct the dot plot. Okay, I'm going to leave the frequency table up here, and I have made a dot plot right here for us to use. So I've already done the first one. We had 1, 5, so you're going to put a dot on the 5. Now let's look at 6. We have 1, 6, so we're going to put a dot over the 6. Now let's look at 7. We have 3 7s, so you are going to need 3 dots over the 7. And you kind of want to keep them consistent with each other so you know this whole row's 1. I'm going to kind of do a quick scribble in so you can see it. Okay, and then 8, we had 7 8s. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then the number 9. There were a lot of 9s. There were 9 9s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Some people on dot plots sometimes use an X instead of a circle. It's up to you. Whichever way you would like to do it, both are correct. These are called cases. Each one of these dots is a case. Okay, on 10 we had 4. On 11 we have 2. And 12, we had 1. Now let's take a look at our data now that it's all plotted. Your dot plot needs a title. Dot plot of hours spent sleeping is my title. And then you need to have a title down here to say what exactly you're looking for. Number of hours spent sleeping. So by looking at this, you can tell the numbers 8 and 9 are the largest amount of sleep hours, 9 being the most. The doctors suggest that you have 8 hours minimum sleep a night. So see, that data is accurate. And notice it goes like this, making almost a pyramid or triangle. That's average for what a dot plot will usually do. Your middle, your median. your median. So that is how you construct a dot plot, and you can use this for so many different things. It's really easy to see visually what is going on here, that right in here is where the most hours that people sleep, or kids, okay? Okay, now we're going to go to what's known as a histogram. A histogram is very similar to a bar graph. You make it with bars. The main difference between the two is that a bar graph usually has a single value that names each bar, and a histogram has a range of numbers that name each bar. Okay, so what this means is, instead of having, when you do a bar graph, you're going to put, say, 10, 20, 30, 40 across the bottom and make a bar for each one. These are using ranges. It might say 0 to 9. How many people are of the age 0 to 9? And you count everybody that's 0 to 9 and put it in that one bar. The next bar may say 10 to 19. So we're going to look at that. When do we use a histogram? Histograms are used when you have data that falls in ranges, whereas a bar graph shows data for specific number or name. How do we construct a histogram? There are 4 basic steps to creating a histogram. You first have to collect your data, and you create categories in which you want to put them. You're going to draw the bars for the frequency of each category, and then you're going to observe and analyze the shape. Just like the shape of this one goes like this. It may not always do that. Okay, so here's data. I've already inserted the numbers. We asked all of the students in our class how many miles they traveled on spring break, and these are their answers. 55, 35, 20, 15, 40, 42, 61, 26, 19, 34, 13, 22, 12, 33, 35, 42, 51, 64, 14, and 18. Remember, this is miles traveled during spring break. We must first create bins, or intervals, to place the numbers in. Okay, these are called bins, which means between 10 and 19. That's bin 1. It's just like if you had a bucket and you were dropping the numbers in the bucket that go in that range. So but how many numbers do we have between 10 and 19? As you can see, I put 6, but you would go up here. A 15 is between 10 and 19, so that's 1. A 19, you count the number that's included in that bin. So 19 counts in that first bin. That's 2, 13, 3, 12, 4, 5, 14, and 6, 18. Okay? So we have 6 numbers in that bin. You do the same thing for each of the other ones. If the number is between 20 and 29, not just 20 and 29, 20 through 29, then you drop it in the 20 to 29 bin, which is 3. The next is 30 to 39. Anything between 30 and 39 goes in there were 4 of those numbers. 40 to 49, there were 3 of those numbers. 50 to 59, there were 2. 60 to 69, bin was also 2. So now we're going to create a histogram with this data. Okay, go back. There's our data. I have another paper chart. I'm just going to switch these around. And we're looking at miles traveled over spring break. So what we're going to do on this is we're going to look at 10 to 19, and we get 6. So what you do with your graph is you're going to make a bar, and you're going to go all the way up to the 6. Now the difference between a bar graph and a histogram is that you're going to shade in that. We're going to pretend like it's all full. But the next bar, let me get my markers. The next bar that you make, and you don't have to do them all in separate colors. I'm just doing it for distinction. We have 20 to 29, which is 3. So we are going to connect it to this one right here and color it in. The next bar we have is 30 to 39, and there were 4 students with 30 to 39. So you're going to go up 1 to the 4 and connect it. On the next one, excuse me, we're looking at 40 to 49, and you have 3 of those. So you're going to connect it here. The next one is 50 to 59, and you have 2 of those. So we're going to go down here to the 2, out here. And then the last one, 60 to 69, we have 2 as well. So let's take a look at our histogram now. Our histogram goes up, back down, up a little, down, and it keeps going down. So we can say that most students traveled between 10 and 19 miles during spring break. What's great about the graph as opposed to the frequency table that we just used to get the data is it's very obvious which one was most. You don't have to look at every single number to know which one is the most, and then to know which one's the least. And we had 2 that were the same. So that would actually, if you were talking about mean, median, mode, that would be the mode of this data. So all of this data tells us a lot of information that we can get. When you're looking at ranges, you couldn't make a bar for every single number. That would be 10 through 69 that you're trying to fit on the bottom of this or the side of this to make a bar graph. It's just too many numbers. So instead, you can do ranges of numbers, and it makes your chart accurate but a little bit smaller. Okay? Next week, we are going to be doing some work in which I'm going to do a hands-on activity with you, a demonstration, and we're just going to review ratio. I know you're finishing up this week, and I know you're very excited, but next week I'm going to have a really special lesson because in 7th grade, one of the first skills you do is ratio, and I just want to do an activity with you with Kool-Aid and show you how ratio works. So you're almost 7th graders. Get all of that work in by Thursday this week, kids, because you will be a 7th grader after Thursday if you complete all that work and do a good job with it. Also, you will be doing iReady diagnostic testing beginning on the 18th. Everyone must do the iReady diagnostic testing. It will be opened the 18th through the 21st. I'm so proud of all of you and all that you have done this quarter. Tough times, we have met them, and we did it like a boss. So until next week, have a great week and do all your work. Bye.